Suppose write as it is. I'll explain. Now I'll ask some questions. Give me answer. For redirecting, for in which interface? HTTP solid response. HTTP solid response in how many methods available? See, HTTP solid response in how many methods available? Complete information there on screen. Two they are giving, three they are giving, four they are giving. It is not difficult question. It appears there only. In how many methods HTTP solid response is there? It is not Java question. It is just only observe. Okay, take your own time. In how many methods HTTP solid response is available? How many methods? Three methods. This much time required for this? Here, HTTP solid response. HTTP solid response. HTTP solid response. It is solid response here. So three methods it is available. Three methods. HTTP solid response here also available, here also available, here also available. Here solid response this is. So our task is redirecting. Our task is redirecting. For redirecting, send redirect method we have to call. For calling send redirect method, HTTP solid response required. HTTP solid response is here also, here also, here also. Three places we have. That means these three methods required for us. Okay. Now, here same name is there. Service, service. Is it overloading or overriding? Overloading or overriding? It is core Java question. Over? Loading or riding? Loading. Method name same. Parameter list is different. It is overloading. Okay, overloading. Now, in these two service methods, which service method is life cycle method? Third one or fourth one? Fourth one. So, this is life cycle method. Server knows only this method. Server knows only this method. But we don't require this method for redirecting. We require these three methods. What do you mind? Our task is redirecting. Our task is redirecting. For redirecting purpose, send redirect method we have to call. For calling send redirect, HTTP solid response required. These three possible. But those three non-life cycle methods. This is only life cycle method. Server knows only that method. Server doesn't know other methods. But we don't require this method now. We require other methods. But other methods, if I write, server doesn't know other methods. Okay, that is how to explain. Here, previous programs previous programs, we didn't use generic HDP solid. We used generic solid. In that only this method is there. This method is there. Every day we used that one only. But present today not possible that one. Okay, because redirecting is not possible with this. We require these methods. Actually, writing solid program, there are three ways. One way by implementing solid interface. One more way by extending generic solid. One more way by extending HDP solid. Three ways possible. Now, first of all, note on that point. This is all I have to explain. So many points I have to explain. Write it. There are three ways to write solid programs. Solid program. First one, by implementing Jakarta.solid.solid interface. Second one, by extending class. Third one, by extending there are three ways to write solid program. First one, by implementing Jakarta.solid.solid interface. Second one, by extending Jakarta.solid.generic solid class. Third one, by extending Jakarta.solid.hdp.hdp solid class. There are three ways to write solid program. Not two, three. Today you are going to learn one more way. Is it over? Now, first one, by implementing Jakarta.solid.solid interface. If you implement solid interface, how many methods mandatory to override? 5 methods. 5 methods compulsory or write. Whether required or not required, you have to write. That is one way. Second way, by extending Jakarta.solid.generic solid. Then how many methods mandatory? One method. Which method? Service method. You studied. But now third way, here, is there any abstract method? There is no abstract method. If you select third one, no method mandatory. If you select this one, 5 method mandatory. If you select this one, 1 method mandatory. If you select this one, no method mandatory. No method mandatory means if you don't write anything, no error, no output. Okay? No error, no output. That means here we have a freedom to select. We can select one method. This method also you can write, this method also you can write, this method also you can write, this method also you can write. Freedom to select. So here no method mandatory because non-abstract method is all. There is no method compulsory method. Whichever you want you can select. But server knows only this method. Suppose if I write this method, how it is called? I'll teach. Server knows only this method. Suppose if I select this method, then no difference between generic solid, HDP solid. Because this is already every day we are overriding this method only, no? Then redirecting again not possible. Got your point? So, actually, if you are using HDP solid, we should not write this method. If you are writing this method means then no difference between generic solid, HTTP solid. We should select from these three. How to select? I'll explain. First write it. ToGet method. It handles get type requests only. ToPost method. It handles post to type requests only. Service method. It handles both get and post to type requests. ToGet method. It handles get type requests only. ToPost. It handles post to type requests only. Service method. It handles both get and post to type requests on requests. You already studied get and post. Get and post difference also you studied, no? Now, here, which is the default request type? Get is a default request type. Okay? Get is a default request type. In the program, method equal to post is there. Then only post. Otherwise, get. Now, already you studied login 2. In login 2, whenever you click on submit button in a login page, request password to login solid. Whenever you click on submit button in reg.html, then request password to registration solid. Okay? Which type of requests are passed? How do you know post? Already we written method equal to post. You observe. Method equal to post. So which type of request coming? Post type. But login solid, registration solid, we written method. Which method we written? Service method. Will it handle get type request? Yes. It will handle post also. That's what it is not a problem. But here ToGet method, it handles get type requests only. ToPost method, it handles post to type requests only. Service method handles both get and post to type requests. Now, our task is which type request coming now? Post to type. Then post to type request we have to handle. Then which method you have to override? ToPost. ToPost you have to write. Can I use service? Yes. We can use service. How to select your methods is, suppose your application requires to handle only get type, then ToGet. Your application requires only post to type, ToPost. Your application requires both, service. Suppose your application requires both get type request one code, post to type request other code. That is also possible. In that situation, both override. So, like that you have to select. How it is called, I'll explain. Write it. To handle only get type requests, override ToGet method. To handle only get type requests, override ToGet method. handle only post type requests, override do post method. To handle both get and post type requests, and if the task is same, then override service method. To handle both get and post type requests, and if the task is different, then override both do get and do post methods. To handle both get and post type requests, and if the task is different, then override both do get and do post methods. Suppose task is different. Get type request comes one task. Post type request comes one more task. In that situation, both you can override. Get also, post also, same task means service. You want to handle only get, use do get. You want to handle only post, use do post. You want to handle both, but task is different, then do get do post. Task is same, service. Is it over? Is it over? Now, here total 4 methods I given. 4 methods I given. Now, in this 4, which method server knows? Only 4th method. Server doesn't know other methods. Server doesn't know other methods. It knows only this method. But you should not override this method if you write HTTP solid, because there is no difference between generic solid, HTTP solid if you write this method. Because here also solid request, solid response. No change. We should override these methods only. But if you override these methods, server doesn't know how it is going to be called. I'll explain. Write this one. See, first listen, don't write. Web container knows only service method. So web container calls service method, which takes solid request and solid response. So web container calls service method, which takes solid request, solid response. It doesn't know other method. So web container calls 4th method. It calls 4th method. 4th method is abstract method or non-abstract method? Non-abstract method. Some code already written. What this will do is, it calls it calls non-life cycle service method. You studied init method, no? Like that. One init method calls another init method, no? Like that. So, life cycle service web container knows only life cycle service method. Web container knows only life cycle service method. It calls life cycle service. This will call non-life cycle service. It is also non-abstract. Here some code written. What they written is which type of request coming. It will check. If get type request comes, it calls doGet. Post type request comes, it calls post type. Like that, code already written inside the service method. See, web container calls service method, that is life cycle. Life cycle service calls non-life cycle. Non-life cycle service will check which type of request came. Get, do get calls. Post, do post calls. Suppose here, if the request type is get, then it calls doGet. Here, if the request type is post, then it calls doPost. The request type is get, then it calls doGet. The request type is post, then it calls doPost. Like that it will call. Okay. Now, if the request type is get, then it calls doGet. If the request type is post, then it calls doPost. Suppose in my program, I'll override doGet. In my program, I'll override doGet. What will happen? First this service called, next this service called, then my system, my program to get called. Init method I explained, no? Overriding how it is called, like that. So HTTP solid will inherit. Suppose actually here, okay, first write this diagram. One more diagram I'll give.